Hey everybody, Vince August. I am back in a new studio. Look at what I did. Look at what I made. I did this for you guys. Everybody's asking me, come back, do podcasts, do these videos. We want to watch. We want to hear what you have to say. Here I am. I am back. Just for those of you that are new to this, I'm going to be doing these. They're going to stream three places: my personal Facebook page, my fan page, and on my YouTube page. What I am really looking to get is all of you to subscribe to my YouTube page. That is the most important thing. Go to my YouTube page. Please subscribe there, because once I get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of viewing, then this thing becomes monetized. I am also going to learn as I go with regards to production, delays, all of the connections in this new space I'm in and everything else. So hopefully these are going to get better with time. They're probably going to be unannounced for the most part. I'm just going to try to pop on. And the idea is not that you always watch live. Definitely watch on replay and let me know in the comments if you watch live or on replay. The other thing, just going to tackle random topics, random time. This will be very random. Get used to dealing with some random shit. That's what you're going to get from me, some random stuff. Also, I am working with handling everything myself. As you can see, I'm going to look down. I'm going to try to, get some graphics eventually. But right now, it's me. I'm a one-man show. There's no producer over there. There's no producer over there because there's no production. This is me. I'm the production. Okay. So I asked for some stories. I asked for some topics that you wanted to cover. And one of the things that came up was people wanted to talk about what is happening right now in Canada, specifically Ottawa, and with Justin Trudeau and how he's treating this. And I have to be careful with what I play in the background, and I have to be able to talk over it, because if you hear just the song, then I'm violating some copyright infringement and I'm going to get sued and they're going to try to stop me. But those of you that are my age probably know the song playing in the background, and it will make sense as to what's going on. We got a convoy, Canada. We got a Canadian convoy. So what's happening with this convoy in Canada? Here's my issue with the convoy in Canada. I don't care whether you agree with the reasoning behind the convoy, whether you disagree with the reasoning behind the convoy. My issue is the way the convoy is being treated and covered, not only by the media, but by Trudeau. His statement was, look, this is fringe. This is a fringe group of people. This is not representative of a mass of people. This is not, what Canada stands for. Look, here's my approach to this thing. If 1,500 to 3,000 people on Twitter create a trend, Twitter, which is accounts, you don't know who these people are. You don't know where they're tweeting from. You don't know what their real interest is in the thing that's happening and whether it's happening to them. Okay, so you can have people tweeting from all over the world about Canada, and what difference does it make? It doesn't affect them because they don't live in Canada. These are actually people in Canada. These are truck drivers in Canada. These are people that are driving along with the truck drivers in Canada. These are people standing in the street in Canada. And to say it's a fringe group of people, regardless, that shouldn't matter. What should matter is they're real people. You can see them. They are there. These are people not hiding behind a computer. They're not hiding behind a screen, just tweeting random stuff. Like we have a lot of people in our Congress, by the way, that's all they do is just tweet shit now. These are real people that are making their presence felt, that are stepping forward. And the fact that we have media and heads of state, Justin Trudeau, the fact that you're dismissing a living human being, not to mention tens of thousands of them, or however many there were, I don't know the number, but the fact that you're dismissing those people that are standing right in front of you as somehow less important than you would maybe a Twitter mob, that to me is the real story. So we get crazy when people tweet. We get crazy when people email news studios and stuff like that, and video and mouth are off. Yeah, I know, Tracy. It's going to be I'm working out kinks. So yeah, if that's really, really distracting and bothering, let me know. Just be like, I can't watch. It's really bad delay. But I'll work on it. Thank you. But that's really my issue right now with what's happening in Canada. So I don't know how you guys feel about it. Again, to me, it's not so much about what they are standing for and not standing for. It's the fact that they're being dismissed and they're real people standing there. And I don't think you should dismiss real people if you're going to give so much credit to a Twitter mob. That's my point. Okay. Let's see. I just want to, no, just letting you know. Okay. Thank you for the update. And I'm going to work again. We're working out the kinks. It's the first one. But yeah, this will be shitty on replay on YouTube. So thank you for telling me. The next thing we're going to talk about, stormy weather. And I am not talking about the snow that just crossed the United States. I am talking about another stormy. A stormy that made news with regard Ron Jeremy. Why do we need to hear from Ron Jeremy? What stormy is this? Oh, it's that kind of music. We're talking about Stormy Daniels, porn star Stormy Daniels, who you may remember a couple of years ago broke onto the scene and joined forces with someone who she is now at war with, Michael Avenatti. Yes, that's right. The guy that everyone was just fawning over. People were just, oh my God, he's so attractive. He's gorgeous. Those blue eyes. He's so sexy. He's this, he's that. And now he's finding himself in a lot of trouble. Okay. So he was tried on a criminal charge or a civil charge with regards to embezzling money that he was going to lose his law license in California. The trial you may not be seeing is happening in New York right now. He is being sued by Stormy Daniels, and I'm going to give you some of the news, and I'm going to read it straight from the press because I got to be careful. I don't know what I could get away with playing here and not playing here because otherwise I'm going to wind up getting screwed, and they're going to start, blocking and banning these videos and everything else. All right, so let's go to the story. Here is Stormy Daniels testifying at court. I don't know if there's a word stronger, but that would be it. And shock, Daniels said, when asked to describe her feelings after discovering Avenatti's alleged theft. He lied to me every day for almost 5 months. Yes, the guy was on CNN every day for almost 5 months. Her testimony represents a remarkable split from the lawyer-client team who shot the prominence with their claims against Trump. Daniels said that she met Avenatti in February 2018 at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Beverly Hills. She was there to discuss hiring him for the suit against Trump, with whom she claims to have had an affair before she ran for office, claims Trump denied. I was trying to find, this is her quote, this is Stormy Daniels' quote, I was trying to find out my legal rights and how to get out of a non-disclosure deal, she said, referring to a $130,000 hush money agreement she struck with Trump just before the 2016 presidential election. Here's my first problem with the story, okay? Stormy Daniels created her own shitstorm, basically. Let's be honest. So what she did was she tried to get out of a non-disclosure deal that at the time she thought was a good deal. Well, if you made the deal at the time and you thought it was a good deal, you really should have stuck with it. I mean, so when you start trying to get out of non-disclosure deals to profit even more, well, then you're a shitty person. And you know what? I don't care what she does for a living. I have no problem with the fact that she's in the porn industry. I don't care. Hey, listen, I watch porn. Why not? Who isn't, right? It's $1 billion industry. I know. It's just me doing it. No. So I don't have a problem with her profession. I really don't. Here's what I have a problem with. Daniels agreed with Avenatti that their contract called for a token payment of $100. Okay. So she pays Avenatti $100 as a token payment for legal representation. This is already bullshit. Okay. So he could raise a legal defense fund in her name, which at one point, so he does like a GoFundMe thing, which raises $650,000. $650,000. She also agreed that Avenatti would be entitled to a percentage of any financial, quote, winnings against Donald Trump if there had been any. So basically what they did was they gambled. They gambled to win money against Trump, We'll split it. They teamed up to do this. Daniels instead was ordered to pay Trump $300,000 in legal fees. So that lawsuit backfired for defamation and everything else because, again, she broke the deal. You made a deal, honor the deal. Okay. At the start of the trial on Monday, this past Monday in New York, Avenatti's lawyer said in an opening statement to the jury, and by the way, there's a great twist coming, that his client signed an agreement with Daniels allowing him to take a cut of any future book deal. Meaning if Stormy Daniels wrote a book, he was going to get a cut of that deal. I don't know any lawyer that has that type of deal with a client with regards to legal representation. That had the lawsuit against somebody and how you profit later on from writing a book, sketchy at best. Okay. But during her direct testimony, Daniels read from the contract, which said Avenatti would be, quote, entitled to a reasonable percentage to be agreed upon by client and attorney. Here's the question. At any point, did you and the defendant ever agree that the defendant would get a portion of a book or media opportunity? That was asked by the assistant U.S. attorney, Robert Benjamin. She said no. Okay, so this is the story that's happening right now. Now, look, let's be honest. There was a lot of people that were coming out during the Trump presidency that so long as they bashed Trump, everybody was just, let's get them on. Let's get them on CNN. Let's get them on MSNBC. Let's get them on all mainstream media because, look, let's be honest. This is what we do. And Fox is just as guilty. By the way, you know I hate all mainstream media. That's why I'm doing this stuff. That's why this is going on YouTube. That's why I'm making these videos. This is why I love people, whether you agree with their opinion or not. Hard Lens Media, Jimmy Dore, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan. Again, this has nothing to do with their opinions. I'm not saying I love their opinions. I love what they're doing. I love that they're taking on the mainstream media, giving people alternate channels. And look, CNN is even noticing it. They're starting a streaming news network, CNN Plus. Okay, so they understand what the mainstream media has become. So what happened? Our mainstream media just tried to latch on to these people every twist and turn. There was a point where you couldn't turn on a TV and not see Michael Avenatti. So there was that. And we saw this with other people too. We saw different news channels were using people from the Lincoln Project. And the Lincoln Project had this problem. Let me get into this. This is from the USA Today. By the way, what we're going to get into, if you disagree with stuff I say, don't just say you're not funny, you suck. That you're going to get banned and deleted. Actually give me a source that you're disagreeing with me to try to prove whatever I'm saying wrong. I'll give you credit for that. I don't care. And then I'll come back and say I was wrong if I was wrong. But this is from the USA Today. Just 3 of the Lincoln Project's 8 co-founders remain with the company. Rick Wilson, Reed Galen, and Steve Schmidt. Schmidt resigned from the organization board eventually, but he's still affiliated. The organization faces a rapidly escalating controversy, and this is an older story, by the way, over allegations that another of its co-founders, John Weaver, sexually harassed more than a dozen young men, including some working for the project, and over what other members of senior management knew and claimed they knew about. So you had this stuff going on with the Lincoln Project. Then it was basically, if you came out and said you hated Trump, you were a hero. We saw it with Liz Cheney. Okay. Liz Cheney basically, jumped on the January 6th thing, jumped on the election wasn't stolen thing, and immediately became a media darling for the left. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. Liz Cheney? You guys now like Liz Cheney. Okay, she attacked Donald Trump. Liz, now do your father. Now let's talk about your father, who destabilized, along with George W. Bush, an entire region of the world. You talk about what's happening right now with this country. We are actually trying to defend through sending over supplies and military, and we're on this high alert thing, the Ukrainian border. Think about the balls we have as a country to say to Russia, you're not allowed to mess with the Ukraine. After we attacked Iraq, on a weapons of mass destruction thing, destabilize the entire Middle East. We've bombed Yemen. We've bombed Syria. How many countries have we bombed, drone struck, and everything else? But we're going to preach to Russia about the Ukraine, the balls on America sometimes. Anyway, so here's Liz Cheney, some of her greatest hits. By the way, Liz Cheney is somehow worth $14 million. Oh, let's see. How did that happen? Oh, here's how it happened. She is the elder daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, war criminal, and Lynn Cheney. She held several positions with the U.S. Department during the George W. Bush administration. Really? What positions did she hold? Notably as Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs and Coordinator for the broader Middle East and North African initiatives. War criminal. Okay, so this is basically what we were looking at. And listen, again, I've said this once. I said it 100 times. I'm a libertarian. I don't like either side. I have been saying this over and over again. With regards to Donald Trump coming in 2024, I will say it right here, right now, so I'm on record. Donald Trump, please don't run for president. Please don't run for president. I don't want you to run for president. This is my opinion. This has nothing to do with how you perform for. I want to move forward. I don't want to move back. And you know what? You don't know when to shut your mouth, okay? And because you don't know when to shut your mouth, you are very volatile and you are divisive in your tone and in your demeanor. And people are like, oh, what's the matter? You're a snowflake. It's got nothing to do with that, okay? Look, if you don't realize that we got Donald Trump because of Barack Obama and his policies, okay? We got Joe Biden because of Donald Trump. And now what are we going to get because of Joe Biden? We can't continue this downward spiral, okay? So, no. So that's my position. And I know I'm going to piss off the conservatives here, and I really don't give a shit. So anyway, but let's talk about, so you know how I feel about both sides. These are the top, supposedly, according to Wikipedia, by the way, again, always saying my sources, these are the richest people that are in politics. Rick Scott, one Republican. Mark Warner, Democrat from Virginia. Greg Gianforte, Republican from Montana. Paul Mitchell, Republican from Michigan. Mitt Romney, Republican from Utah. Vernon Buchanan, Republican from Florida. Mike Braun, Republican from Indiana. Sounds like a lot of Republicans, right? Wait. Don Bayer, Democrat, Virginia. Dean Phillips, Democrat, Minnesota. Nancy Pelosi, Democrat, California. So 6 of the top 10 are Republican, 4 are Democrats. So what does that tell you? They're all criminals in my estimation. I don't like any of them. So that's my story on just how, we got to Avenatti, Liz Cheney. Come on. Cuomo. Remember all the Cuomo sexuals? Remember how everybody loved Governor Andrew Cuomo? We wanted him to be president too. So we wanted Avenatti to be president. We wanted Andrew Cuomo to be president. Everybody loved Chris Cuomo. Yeah, look at what happened. It's amazing that of all the Italians that were on, this is the only Italian that can't get on TV for anything. That's why I do this. Anyway, so this is the type of stuff that we were seeing. And again, as long as you hated Trump, it was, oh, you're a hero. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Stop that. Stop that. Okay? You got to be better than that. Another thing I was asked about was, I believe it was Deb, who's always checking in here, the nurses in Long Island that apparently were getting paid cash to give out fake vaccine cards. So here's the story as it's reported. Between November 21 and January 2022, the pair allegedly forged vaccine cards charging $220 for adults, $85 for children. At their arraignment, prosecutors also accused the duo of writing fake cards for undercover detectives who did not receive a COVID vaccine. So basically, you go to these 2 nurses, they give you a COVID card, they write down whatever was, the name on the vial, they put it on your card, and then they were just throwing the stuff out and giving you a COVID card. If you take the 220 and 85, round it out, make it 300, divide it by 2, 150. They made 1.5 million. That's roughly, let's call it 10,000 vaccine cards out there just from these 2 people. So that's 2 people. How many more do you think are out there that have these fake vaccine cards? I'm going to say it was more than 2 noses. I'm going to go on a limb. I don't have facts, but I'm going to go on a limb and say these weren't the only 2 people doing it. All right. And I'm going to feel pretty confident on that limb. And I can't fly. So if the limb breaks, I'm going to fall. So, look, that's another story that I'm looking at. And I'm wondering, when are all of these other stories going to come out with regards to all of these different people writing fake vaccine cards? Someone just told me the camera's too low, so I'm adjusting the camera angle. Next thing that we have, Tom Brady has announced his retirement today, which is amazing. So if you're a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, yes, you do. So there's that issue with regards to Tom Brady retiring. Look, here's my feeling on Tom Brady. I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I don't think I'm as diehard as I used to be. A lot of people aren't diehard as they used to be. A lot of people watch football for fantasy football purposes. Me, I watch it purely for entertainment purposes. I could care less. I'm not one of those people that if my team loses, I'm in a depressed mood. And this, again, Steelers made the playoffs, lost to the Chiefs. I went to bed at halftime. I actually was hoping they didn't make the playoffs. I was hoping for a tie between the Chargers and the Raiders because I didn't want to see Ben Roethlisberger leave the field as bad as he did against the Chiefs. So that's the way I watch football now. It's not the same way I used to when I was a kid. With regards to Tom Brady, look, we got to see one of the great quarterbacks of all time. I know there are people that hate him. Again, why? Because he's married to Giselle, because he's always winning. Someone even said to me, it almost feels abusive. Like it's almost like, being abused watching Tom Brady win. You know what? Here's my answer to that. Maybe you should use Tom Brady as an example in life of how to succeed and not worry so much about hating Tom Brady. Maybe you should look at Tom Brady as a model for what to do in life to win. See, but this is a weird thing that we have in society. So when somebody wins initially, we're like, oh my God, we love him. LeBron James. Then when someone starts winning too much, then we hate them. And then we want to see their fall. We want to see their demise. It's a weird thing that we have in America. I don't understand it. I think Tom Brady was absolutely incredible. Good for Tom. Hey, the fact that he's retiring, who knows what he's going to do next. Another really quick sports story, by the way. The Hall of Fame put in David Ortiz from the Boston Red Sox, who may or may not have taken performance-enhancing drugs. Here's my take on the Hall of Fame. It's a joke. The Baseball Hall of Fame is a joke. Here's why it's a joke. Your best hitter ever, Pete Rose, is not in the Hall of Fame. So the guy with the most hits, the guy who did the thing that's the hardest thing to do, hit a round ball with a round bat, did it better than anybody, not in the Hall of Fame. The guy who hit the round ball with the round bat out of the stadium or out of the ballpark more times than anyone else, Barry Bonds, is not in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens, who did the other thing from the other side of the field that everyone loves, a strikeout, he's third best at that. He's not in the Hall of Fame because apparently performance-enhancing drugs. If you guys are too young to not know this, in the 90s, baseball was dying. And then Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa were doing this home run battle thing, and baseball loved it. And Barry Bonds saw this and said, wait a minute, I'm playing by the rules, and these two schmucks are getting all the attention. Watch what happens when I take steroids, because he was a phenomenal player his entire career with the Pittsburgh Pirates and the San Francisco Giants. And assuming that he did take performance-enhancing drugs, he showed everybody, oh, okay, if these are the rules we're going to use, and this is what you want, then watch how I do it. So to me, if that was the era and that what was going on at the time, it's got to be in the Hall of Fame. All of those guys, just put them in the Hall of Fame. And again, I don't care. I don't care who's in the Hall of Fame. I've never been to the Hall of Fame. I don't care if I ever go to the Hall of Fame. It doesn't mean that much to me. But for people out there that wanted to ask me questions, there it is. Okay, so let's see. What else do we have? Entertainment news. Okay, weather and entertainment news. So weather report for today. It's January. It's cold. It's snowing. Okay, that's enough of the weather. Let's go to entertainment news. Final story, because I got to get off. I don't want these things to run too long. There is a war on Joe Rogan right now. And there's a couple of reasons why people are attacking Joe Rogan. The first reason is, let's be honest, his popularity. Okay, I've seen this battle on radio when it was Howard Stern in the 80s and 90s. Howard would go after the big fish to make himself bigger. Okay. And it's funny because Howard Stern right now is going after Joe Rogan. Again, Howard may be losing some of his luster. Let's go after the guy who's got all of the luster. Same thing with the mainstream media. They're struggling. So let's talk about the guy that everybody's watching, because he gets, I think, 200 million hours in views, something crazy. I don't know the exact number. Check my math, whatever it is. But his downloads in terms of hours crush pretty much everybody and everything out there. So because of that, people mention him. Now, here's the best way to treat the Joe Rogan situation. First of all, he's a comedian. Second of all, he announces fights on UFC. Third of all, if you really believe what he's saying is false or it's misinformation, put the statement up on your network and then put the fact next to it. But if we're going to start that, just know the same thing can happen to you. So I think a lot of what's going on with Joe Rogan is basically he's not beholden to anyone. He could say whatever he wants to say, and it's pissing everybody off because the people at mainstream media companies, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and all these, they can't do that same thing. They are beholden to their advertisers. They are beholden to the people out there that's paying their bills, and they're beholden to CEOs and corporate chair and everything else. So they just can't come out and it's killing them. And Joe and all these other people, Jimmy Dore, Ben Shapiro, again, whether you agree with them or not is not the point. They are out there doing it. The other thing about Joe Rogan that's pissing everybody off, the way he does this long form interview, no one's going on his show because we saw what happened when Sanjay Gupta went on the show. He looked like a schmuck with the whole ivermectin conversation, and then CNN did damage control. So the way to get around talking to somebody like Joe Rogan is we got to deplatform him. And if there's anything you know about me, I am so pro First Amendment. I am so anti-deplatforming. And the fact that Neil Young, pothead hippie from the 60s, can actually say, you know what, you got to get rid of Joe Rogan. See, this is the problem with where we are now. And, you know, Bill Maher says this all the time too. And Bill Maher says, look, I've been standing in this place my entire life. The problem is you have left and right. And that's what's shifting. And depending on where the Democrats and the Republicans stay, I'm still in the same place. But you see, this is what makes me more or less conservative. You're moving. I'm not moving. And he's right. I hate to say it, Bill is right. And again, Bill Maher is not a guy I agree with all the time, but I agree with him on that topic. All right. So I've let this thing run for 29 minutes. Let me get some questions. I know that the thing isn't linked up. I don't know why. I promise I will fix that. This is the first broadcast. We'll get better. Tracy letting me know. Deb checking in. Rob Marini's in. Thank you for checking in. Carrie Weber. You're not funny. You suck. Who says that? Give me their names. They're all thieves, every one of them. I agree when it comes to politics. I don't trust any of them. Ed O'Connell. What else is up, Vince? Joe Rogan. Don't forget Fear Factor. Yep, tired of cancel culture. Heard YouTube is blocking Dan Beningo podcast. Dan Beningo, I think he was the guy on Fox. I think he was a former cop. Again, look, here's my thing with banning people. If someone's giving a mistruth, point out the truth. But here's the problem with the mistruths. Okay, if you want to start looking at mistruths and banning people, okay, we can start looking at things like here, Rachel Maddow, vax. Okay, let's see if it even comes up, because Rachel Maddow actually said with regards to the vaccine, point blank, and I could get the clip and play it back in the day. She said the COVID moves person to person to person, and when it hits a person that's vaccinated, it doesn't move on to anyone else. It stops there. So if you're unvaccinated, you spread it to someone else, and they're unvaccinated, they spread it to someone else, and if that someone else is vaccinated, boom, it stops. That was a lie. That was a lie. and we know it's a lie, and it was a lie then and it's a lie now, why isn't she deplatformed? Okay, and I could do that with Fauci. I could do it with just about representatives in DC. So they should all be deplatformed. I could do it with Brian Williams, who's no longer on the news. Okay, he lied. But we could do about Chris Cuomo, who's no longer on the news, and he's suing CNN for that. We could probably do it with everybody on the news too. So again, you know what? Rather than deplatform people, point out that they're lying. Yeah, and I say you too. With me, send me the article where I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. I'll admit it. Or we can have a discussion about, say, look, here's my source, which I have. There's your source. If my source turns out to be false, well, look, this is the source. So it's relying on making my information. Here's the source. My source proves to be wrong, so be it. So no one does that. So there's that. Okay. Sound breaking up. Yeah, again, you know what? We'll end it here. Let me figure out what happened technically. And again, I may take this down off of YouTube. I'll leave it on Facebook because I don't want shit quality out there. So wanted to give this a run. Told you guys I would be on this weekend. Again, testing out new equipment. So hopefully you enjoyed it for the most part. For the most point, voice back. Yeah, you know what, Deb? I'm going to work on it. All right. So thank you guys. And yeah, I'll work on the kinks. This was the first run. Wasn't so bad.